Ms. Harden drops a bombshell right from the start, asserting that despite Mr. Nelson's steadfast denial, he's the father of their 2-month-old daughter, Sophia. She's not just here for drama. She wants Mr. Nelson to step up and help raise their daughter once his paternity is confirmed. This explosive beginning sets the stage for a saga of denial and confrontation. Stick around, because the emotional fireworks are just getting started.
You say, due to a misunderstanding, he is now denying your 2-month-old daughter, Sophia Nelson. You are certain he is the father, and once proven, you want his help raising your daughter. Mr. Nelson, you refuse to lift a finger for a child that isn't yours. You say you are 1,000% certain you are not Sophia's biological father and claim that you know who is.
You won't believe what's coming next. In a tear-jerking twist, Ms. Harden pours her heart out, revealing her deep-seated loneliness due to losing her family members. She explains how Mr. Nelson became her rock during these tough times, which led her to seek more than just friendship. This poignant confession adds layers to her motives and paints a picture of her emotional state. The story takes an even deeper dive into drama in the next scene. Get ready for more jaw-dropping revelations.
That's all right. We come here to tell the truth. If that's your truth, you say it. So you were feeling alone in the world.
Yes, and I never really had nobody in my life talk to me. Nobody, they would like talk, but they wouldn't listen to where I was coming from. They didn't listen to what I had to say, and he was there for me, and I gravitated towards it.
You wanted to have his baby because this was a person now that I decided.
Felt like I was gonna be with him for the rest of my life.
Right.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, Mr. Nelson throws a curveball. He airs his doubts about fatherhood, citing a time when Ms. Harden allegedly let her ex-boyfriend and his current partner crash at their place. He suggests that her decision, especially under such intimate circumstances, ignited his suspicions. The tension ratchets up as he lays out his case for doubt. Up next, the plot thickens, and the accusations fly faster. Watch out for the incoming drama bomb.
And you've brought an exhibit to outline that doubt. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't
Please
have no
step
proof.
up to the monitor.
Okay, Your Honor. It all started. We went back to Arkansas, got our own place together. Her ex-boyfriend, John, and his baby mother, which is Rachel, at the time, didn't have nowhere to go, so they wanted to come stay with us. But that being her ex-boyfriend, I thought it was disrespectful.
And the plot thickens. In a scene straight out of a soap opera, Mr. Nelson stumbles upon incriminating texts on Ms. Harden's phone, fueling his doubts even further. The timing of her pregnancy announcement suspiciously aligns with when he had temporarily exited stage left due to his suspicions. This crucial moment ties directly back to the paternity dispute, thickening the plot considerably. Hold on tight, because what happens next is a doozy.
Eventually, they left. I came back. Everything was cool. I thought, everything's fine. I wasn't, suspecting none because I had no proof until I went through her phone. And I found text messages of John texting her, "Hey, baby, you want some more? How you doing?" This.
What?
Yeah.
You want some more?
She denied it. 3 weeks later, found out she pregnant.
And then 3 weeks after that,
Went to the doctor. The doctor said she was 2 months pregnant.
Wait for the plot twist. The courtroom heats up as Ms. Harden's ex-boyfriend steps into the scene, throwing another layer of chaos into the mix. He outright denies being the father, which contradicts earlier insinuations and adds a delicious layer of confusion to the paternity mystery. This twist turns the case on its head, setting the stage for an even more dramatic unfolding. Prepare yourself, because the judge is about to drop some serious wisdom.
Ms. Harden's ex into the courtroom.
Okay.
I want to hear from
Have you come up to the witness stand?
you. Sir, please have a seat. Do you think you're Sophia's father? That's what I
No,
want to know.
it's impossible.
Yeah, now you don't.
So
Like,
why
are you denying
are
it
they
now?
testifying you were on the phone saying, "What are we going to do about our baby? You know that's my baby."
I never said that. They're both delusional.
The judge is about to lay down the law. In a moment of courtroom clarity, Judge Lake delivers a compelling monologue about the consequences of reckless relationships, especially when they lead to parenthood. Her powerful words serve as a moral climax to the episode, urging everyone to consider the impact of their actions. Just when you think you've seen it all, the final reveal is ready to take center stage. Are you ready for the big reveal?
Sex is not a board game. It's not like Monopoly where it's better if you play with more people. It just gets messier. And at the end of the day, y'all just all up here arguing. That's not really how it works. And listen, if that's what you want to do, that's your business, but protect yourself. Because how dare you bring an innocent baby into this nightmare?
And now, for the grand finale, the DNA results are in.
The biological father is Mr. Nelson. You are the biological father.
This is where the drama hits the fan. Mr. Singleton explains his doubts about paternity after his wife, Ms. Gray, during an argument, revealed that he might not be the father of their 3-year-old daughter, Ariana. He expresses his turmoil and the condition that if Ariana is not his, the marriage is over. Buckle up, because this roller coaster is just getting started.
During a heated argument, you claim she told you that you may not be the father of 3-year-old Ariana, and you've petitioned the court for a paternity test and declare if you learn the child is not yours, the marriage is over.
Talk about a soap opera twist. Ms. Gray admits uncertainty about her daughter's paternity, but desires the test results to determine the future of their relationship. Her admission sets the stage for a dramatic exploration of trust and responsibility within the marriage. The plot thickens in just a moment, so stay tuned.
You admit you do not know for sure if your husband is your daughter's biological father. You also desperately want today's results if you and your husband can have a future together.
And the plot thickens. The conversation heats up as Mr. Singleton accuses Ms. Gray of infidelity, with her ex-partner immediately following their argument, which she refutes by clarifying the timeline of their relationship and the separations involved. Get ready, because the next scene adds a whole new level of intrigue.
No, actually, you cheated on me, and that's the reason why
I cheated.
went with my ex.
Yes, you went to your ex immediately.
No, we wasn't together, so it's not called cheating. We weren't together.
She claims to not be cheating, but what I'm saying is that we had an argument. She immediately went to it. Like, there was no question of it.
I went through your phone records, and I found talking to females 3 o'clock in the morning.
You can cut the tension with a knife here. Ms. Gray reveals during a phone conversation about her pregnancy that the child might not belong to Mr. Singleton. This disclosure shocks him and adds a complex layer to their already strained relationship. The story takes another wild turn next, so don't go anywhere.
I told him, I said I was with my ex, and it's a possibility she may not.
Laid it all on the table.
Oh, no. You didn't say it was no. You said, I had sex with my ex. We did not use protection. I'm telling you, it's not yours. I don't want you around.
I wanted something new.
Name the baby after
so
him
now
everything.
you are admitting that what he's saying is true. You told him straight up,
Yes.
this baby's not yours.
I told him.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more real, Ms. Gray expresses her frustration with past relationships and her preference for bad boys over good guys, highlighting her struggles with trust and her expectations from partners. The emotional roller coaster is far from over. Watch what unfolds next.
He's gonna always hold that in the back of his mind.
I understand, but I thought he wasn't. I'm used to dating thugs. I'm not used to guys with the glasses and the good job. I'm used to going after guys that hustling, and that's what I like. My ex is in jail right now.
Let me give you a little woman tip. Go after the ones with the glasses and the good jobs,
Exactly.
After telling you the baby was not yours, she had to have told you that the baby was yours.
Exactly.
Can you believe this? As the case progresses, both parties argue over past infidelities and their implications for their relationship and parenting responsibilities. The dialogue underscores the deep-seated issues of trust and betrayal between them. Things are about to get even juicier, so stick around.
You know what I'm saying? The only place in her face where she looks like me is right here on her
I'm
eyebrows.
glad you
and her
looked
nose.
up, found the answer so that you can understand that children come in all colors. It's genetic.
Right.
You understand? Your doubt is real. Despite all of this tit for tat going on, you married her.
I was trying to do the right thing.
Did you tell the man it wasn't his child? What was your
I
point?
never told him that.
That
I never
is a
told him
lie.
that. I
You
said
got on-
I told
and
him
you
it was a
explicit-
possibility.
No, you didn't.
This is where everyone leans in. The court session intensifies as Mr. Singleton and Ms. Gray debate their actions and decisions within their marriage, focusing on the impact of their behaviors on their child and each other. The tension is about to skyrocket with the next testimony, so keep watching.
You said
So why did you marry me then?
Because I love you, and there's no way that you can
You
sit
love
there.
me, but you talk to other females and sending naked pictures and stuff, and
I mean, I had some issues with that. We all got issues in here. Made the
Okay,
right
but what about
changes.
your
We all
parties that
got
you wanted to
issues
do.
in
We all
here,
got
right?
issues.
And I'm trying to understand yours. Because as you stand here in your glass
yes,
with
but
your
he had-
job,
What about your kinky parties that you want to have?
I like
And
to throw
you wanna have
parties. I like to
threesomes
go
with
to
me and stuff.
parties.
So I mean, if it's anybody that's nasty, it's him.
Here's a curveball for you. In a pivotal moment, Ms. Gray's witness, Ms. Simmons, testifies about Mr. Singleton's inappropriate behaviors, reinforcing Ms. Gray's claims of his dishonesty and undermining his reliability as a partner and father figure. The judge's reaction is up next, and it's a doozy, so don't miss it.
you having kinky parties, sending pictures to girls, and cheating. What
With
does
himself.
your research show about that?
I mean, that's a valid point. But
Thank you.
What I'm saying
I
is,
make those sometimes.
I took the time to make vows. I put the ring on, okay?
You also took the time to talk to other females and be permissive.
Yeah, but
You
what
took
I'm
the time
saying
to
is
do all
once
that.
I put
so
this
you
on-
can't look at me.
Since you put a ring on Ms. Gray's finger, have you cheated?
What sense of the word?
This is where the judge lays down the law, no holds barred. The judge admonishes both Mr. Singleton and Ms. Gray for their actions, emphasizing the repercussions on their daughter who is caught in the middle of their conflicts. This lecture from the judge serves as a moral centerpiece of the episode, stressing responsibility and the welfare of the child. The air is thick with anticipation, leading up to the big reveal.
Yes, you had something to say?
Address the court and say that if this is not my baby, this ring right here don't mean nothing. You can have that.
Mr. Singleton, that was dramatic. However, you married this woman knowing that this child may not be yours.
And
you
now he wants a way
married her.
out. So
Now,
this will I get back a ring?
if this child isn't yours, you want out. Are you stopping to think about the child and the fact that
can
you
leave.
may be
He
the
don't
person?
care.
Grab your popcorn, here comes the big moment. The DNA test results are revealed.
When it comes to baby Ariana Wallace, Mr. Singleton, you are not her father.
This next bit is quite the roller coaster. Angela Monroe, the plaintiff, sets the stage with her heartfelt plea, underlining her urgent need to know if the child, Yana Monroe, is indeed her granddaughter. Revealing her terminal illness, Angela describes how her son, Herbert, passed away, which led Shenica Reed, the defendant, to claim she was pregnant with his child. Get ready, because the reaction to this news is just around the corner, and it's a doozy.
My name is Angela Monroe. My son Herbert died on January 27, 2015. After my son passed, a young lady named Shenica Reed, is the defendant, told me that she was pregnant from my son. The baby was born on May 31st, 2016. I really would like to know if Iana Monroe is my granddaughter.
Buckle up for this revelation. Angela vividly remembers learning about Shenica's pregnancy right after her son's funeral. The bombshell was dropped during a house visit from Shenica, who announced her pregnancy out of the blue. Angela was stunned, initially speechless by such unexpected news. The court listens intently as Angela recounts her initial shock and her son's ignorance of the pregnancy. Strap in, you're not going to want to miss what comes next.
Ms. Monroe, how and when did you find out about Ms. Reed's pregnancy?
I found out after my son passed, after his funeral. He came by the house. He said, I have something to tell you. He said, well, I'm pregnant. I really didn't know what to say at first. I was kind of stunned because I wasn't expecting that.
How far along was Ms. Reed?
I believe it was about 5 months.
This was the first time you ever heard that your son, that he was the biological father of her child.
Yes.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, Shenica takes the floor to share her side of the story, explaining her decision to finally tell Angela about the pregnancy. After Herbert's death, she felt compelled by her family and friends to reach out to Angela, who had just lost her only child. The significance of her decision is palpable, and the courtroom hangs on her every word. Brace yourself. The emotional temperature is about to rise.
After a week after her son passed and after she laid him to rest, I called her. I wasn't even gonna let her know that I was pregnant with his child, but I was encouraged by family members due to the fact that she has lost her only, that it was important that I reach out to her. So I gave her a call and I told her that I was almost 5 months pregnant.
So, Ms. Monroe, you were very close to your son.
Yes.
Things are heating up now. The court dives into the tumultuous dynamics between Angela and Shenica, examining their complicated interactions over living arrangements and financial issues. A fiery debate ensues about the financial support Herbert provided to Shenica, which only added fuel to their already fiery disagreements. Watch out, the sparks are about to fly even higher.
Nobody can take my son. God took my son from me, so you can never do that.
If your son was, if God would have still let your
Ma'am,
son live, I would in that
Judge.
apartment with your son or staying somewhere else
For
with your
one,
son.
I wasn't gonna leave my son to be anywhere else. And that is not the person that was supposed to stay in that apartment. Someone from California that was advised to me, that's who was gonna stay in
She
the apartment
wanted me to
with my
stay in the
son.
apartment. I passed
You
away when
came
she
and
was
stayed
moving.
there when you were
Yes, I
pregnant.
did come to stay there. And the time when after I moved back to my parents' big house.
You'll want to sit tight for this clash. Angela and Shenica lock horns over who was meant to move into Herbert's apartment after his passing. The dispute reveals deep-seated tensions and unresolved grief, painting a vivid picture of their strained relationship. The confrontation escalates quickly, setting the stage for even more fireworks. Trust me, the next part is even more jaw-dropping.
Only way you get anything is if you do a DNA. So you do a DNA.
I didn't even know that I could benefit.
Yes, you did. Anybody know that somebody's
She-
deceased, you could collect.
Look how
So
young he was.
that's-
She
no,
the
no,
one
no.
said, my son,
It doesn't
I always
matter
work
how
2
old
jobs.
you are.
Your baby can.
All right, let's get some control,
No.
ladies. Understand this, but I need to hear it one at a time.
Okay.
How did you ever get to the point where you're moving in?
Because I was living with my cousin at the time, and to take over the responsibilities of running back and forth to the hospital with her.
Don't look away now. The argument between Angela and Shenika continues to unravel, with each accusation more heated than the last. They debate the legitimacy of Shenika's place in Herbert's life and the apartment, revealing layers of suspicion and resentment. The atmosphere is charged, and the courtroom is on edge. The upcoming twist in the tale is something you won't see coming.
Excited
She
that
called me after the baby was born. Of course I was excited. Going through the 4th month. It was the last time I seen this baby, 4th month. Then I get a phone call. It went from, you're gonna pay for the DNA. I'm not doing that. I ordered a DNA that cost $400. I said, well, you pay half, I'll pay half.
Pay half on a DNA test that I'm not gonna get the report, and then you can just say, oh no, you're not the grandmother of this baby. No, I'm not gonna pay. That's what you don't understand.
Hold on to your popcorn, because here comes a critical intervention. The judge steps in to calm the storm, refocusing everyone on the child at the heart of the case and the potential for a family connection depending on the DNA test results. The importance of resolving these issues calmly for the sake of the child is emphasized. The tension is thick, and the impending DNA results are about to cut through it like a knife.
But even in this courtroom, we have seen things turn around in a moment where you all had begun to discover commonalities in terms of your understanding, your relationships with. So we're making a little bit of progress. I want to know from Ms. Reed. Ms. Reed, if in fact this is Mr. Monroe's biological daughter, would you allow Ms. Monroe a chance to be in her life and be a grandmother and get to know?
I would not stand in the way of that relationship.
The air is thick with anticipation. The moment of truth arrives as the DNA test results are announced.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Angela Monroe and Iyanna Monroe is 99.98%.
That's all I wanted to know.
Well, kick things off with a bang, why don't we? At the start of the episode, the judge sets the stage for a drama-packed session in the case of Stremke versus Jaramillo. Mrs. Stremke has hauled Mr. Jaramillo into court over who's who in the zoo regarding the paternity of their 2 daughters, Naviana and Alexis. She's on a mission to prove he's the daddy, despite his swirling sea of doubts fed by rumors and a supposedly incriminating past incident. Buckle up, because this is just the warm-up.
This is a case of Stremke versus Jaramillo.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Stremke, you've dragged Mr. Jaramillo to court in hopes of saving your family, which you claim is falling apart due to paternity denial. Defendant doubts paternity for both of your daughters, 4-year-old Naviana and 8-month-old Alexis, but you want that he is their father.
Talk about a family feud getting real. Mrs. Stremke spills the beans on her family woes, detailing the growing trust issues her daughters face with Mr. Jaramillo due to his paternity denials. She's worried sick that her eldest, Naviana, is catching on to the adult whispers and might start throwing shade at her dad. And you thought this was spicy? Well, the next part is a full-blown jalapeno.
Why is your family falling apart?
Your Honor, I feel like my family is falling apart because my daughters are basically growing up how I had to. We didn't have both parents, and even when we did have both parents present at different times, we were denied. I feel like they can't trust because he denies that he's their dad half the time, and my 4-year-old Naviana knows. She can hear the, well, I'm not her dad anyway. I can't expect her to do what he says if he's gonna say, I'm not your dad.
Hold the phone, Dad's got doubts. Mr. Jaramillo doesn't shy away from admitting he's aired his paternity doubts during not-so-quiet squabbles. He takes us back to the rocky start of their romance, marked by troubled pasts and a gossip-monger friend stirring the pot right from the get-go. Keep your popcorn close. There's more drama ahead.
You're expressing your paternity doubts in front of the children?
In some instances, it gets brought up in fight, and with the children are present, we get pretty loud about it.
This is not good.
Yes.
How did it begin?
We met very young. I was 13. We met in a lockup facility we were both staying at. We had no choice. We didn't have good childhoods at all, so we had to stay there. I see it now, and I don't want it to go down that road to where they have to go through what we did.
Just when you thought it couldn't get soapier, the plot thickens as they delve into the backstory of Naviana's conception. Ms. Stremke maps out a timeline sprinkled with potential daddy candidates that overlapped just before Mr. Jaramillo re-entered the picture. The chat turns to a he said she said saga, fueled by a rumor mill on overdrive. And just when you think you've seen it all, there's a twist in the tale coming right up.
When you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my sons and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up where I had slept with another man. And this is before me and Mr. Jaramillo had gotten together. But it was very, very shortly after that we got together that I found out I was pregnant after we had first slept together. And he got a phone call from a girl that I had went to school with, tell him that I was sleeping with multiple men.
Ever heard of too many cooks in the kitchen? In a plot twist that reads like a reality TV show, they hash out the messy details surrounding the conception of their younger daughter, Alexis. This includes a dicey threesome that throws even more doubt into who the real father might be. The emotional stakes are sky high as they reflect on their roller coaster decisions affecting their kids' lives. Strap in, folks. This roller coaster's about to plunge.
So you're in this household, questions of paternity are flying all over but you're trying to make it work, or what are you doing?
That's the part that is the hardest for me to believe, because I was done having kids. After I had a boy and I had a girl, I didn't want any more. Why push my luck? I have a boy, a girl, they're both amazing kids. And there was a point in time where the whole paternity of Naviana was not brought up, and he was practically begging me for another child because he wanted to try to have a boy.
Get ready for the grand finale. As the judge whips out the DNA test results, the tension could be cut with a knife. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Ms. Sims kicks off the case with a bombshell, accusing her mother and the man she thought was her dad of pulling the wool over her eyes about her paternity for a whopping 36 years. She's armed with evidence she claims proves Mr. Johnson isn't her biological father, leading her to file a lawsuit for paternity fraud. Buckle up, because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Ms. Sims, you say your mother and your alleged father intentionally deceived you for 36 years by claiming that Mr. Johnson is your biological father for paternity fraud because you claim to have proof that you are not his daughter.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Sims dives deep into her doubts about Mr. Johnson actually being her dad, pointing out medical and family history inconsistencies that don't line up with Mr. Johnson's. Her distress over being duped her whole life affects not just her, but her daughter too. The emotional stakes are high, and what's coming next is going to stir the pot even more.
Ms. Sims, so what do you mean they deceived you?
Well, for my whole life, I've always thought that Henry, my dad, I just have a multitude of things that have come up that show me that potentially could not be, including my health and my daughter's health. We don't have any family history that is consistent throughout the family of my dad's family.
This twist will knock your socks off. Ms. Sims reminisces about her childhood days spent with Mr. Johnson, highlighting a bond so strong it defined her identity. Despite the swirling doubts, she treasures the relationship, emphasizing his positive influence on her life. The story takes a deeper dive next, so keep your eyes peeled.
I met my dad when I was 4 years old, so I mean a little later than most people, but after I was introduced to him, I spent a lot of time with him. He made me who I am today. He made me strong. He made me very, very responsible. He was a person that definitely encouraged me to be a better person always. So yes, I'm definitely a daddy's girl.
Did that really just drop? Mr. Johnson confesses he's always harbored doubts about being Ms. Sims's biological father, but kept mum to protect their bond. His unwavering commitment to her doesn't waver, though he admits the current paternity debacle might have dented her trust in him. Brace yourself. The revelations up next are even juicier.
I've always known there was some doubt, but I never mentioned it to her because I didn't see any reason for it. Maybe she has less trust in me now, but it doesn't affect the way I feel about her.
You say you feel like she may have less trust in you.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
I mean, in a small aspect, yes. I mean, my mom and my dad, because together, they raised me. So together they knew that there was an opportunity that someone else could be my biological father.
You'll need to sit down for this one. A major twist unfolds as Ms. Sims discusses her lupus diagnosis, which sparked her suspicions about her paternity. The lack of autoimmune diseases in her family history led her down a path of questioning and seeking the truth about her real dad. Strap in, because the family drama escalates from here.
It made you realize that there could be another possibility.
So in 2001, I was diagnosed with lupus. And you know how when you go through your physical, like they say, give me your family history and things of that nature, where I have no autoimmune autoimmune disorders on either side of my mother or father's family. And so I just rolled that out. Throughout that, I went to nursing school and I became a nurse. And with more research and really understanding the disease, I realized that it could be hereditary, could be some background to the things that are wrong.
Grab your popcorn, this is getting good. The plot thickens as Ms. Sims details a poignant conversation with her father, where he admits there's a chance he might not be her real dad. This bombshell not only rocks her world, but sets the stage for more explosive truths to come. Get ready, because the courtroom is about to turn up the heat.
Well, I actually talked to my dad first because, you don't ever want to insult anyone or anything like that. And I actually talked to my dad about it. My dad kind of was like, well, yeah, I kind of agree that there may be a chance that you're not mine, and I will support you to look, look for your person.
How long ago was?
I want to say like a year, a little bit more than a year. So that shocked me, and I was just like, that's a big pill to swallow when your dad actually does know that he could potentially not be your dad and has never mentioned it.
Are you ready for this roller coaster? Ms. Smith, the mother, steps into the spotlight admitting there's a chance Mr. Johnson isn't the biological father, which unravels the story of their past relations and a fleeting romantic fling. This confession adds another layer of complexity to the paternity puzzle. The next testimonies will make your jaw drop.
Mr. Johnson, what do you remember? You say you only had sex with Ms. one time?
We were seeing each other for about 2 months as friends. One day we took a shower together and we ended up in the bed having sex.
Did you know she was in another relationship at the time?
Yes, I did. That's why it took me so long.
Oh, that's why you didn't try to have sex with her sooner, but then this day after the shower, all bets were off.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
The tension could be cut with a knife. Ms. Sims sheds light on discrepancies in her family narrative, notably her last name and the unexpected name listed as her father on her birth certificate. Definitely not Mr. Johnson. This revelation triggers a crucial turning point in her quest for the truth. Keep watching, because the courtroom drama is about to hit a fever pitch.
The father's name, there is another man's name, not Henry Johnson.
Not Henry Johnson.
So you had a name.
Yes, I had a name. And the way it's explained to us or to me is that was just an ex, and consistently me and my siblings all had the same last name. So as big a deal because we still all had the same name. And my mom just said, well, I gave you my last name.
The moment of truth is almost here. As we edge closer to the verdict, the courtroom buzzes with anticipation. Ms. Sims underscores the importance of establishing her biological father's identity, not just for personal clarity, but for vital medical reasons affecting her family's future. The DNA results are imminent, and you won't believe what's about to unfold.
Once again, I said, I'm a nurse and a mom. And just with my knowledge of medical history and background, it's important for me to identify, if there's someone else and I can kind of trace their history to see if there's other genetic diseases that I need to be worried about. Also, my daughter may one day want to have a family too, and is it something that she should be worried about? I do not want to lose another one to something that I can, avoid by just a little bit of information and doing things before it happens versus hindsight.
You won't believe this ending. The DNA test results are finally unveiled.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Here we go, right out of the gate. Ms. Moore claims Mr. Butler doubts his paternity due to his manipulative wife. The audience reacts audibly. Mr. Butler counters, saying Ms. Moore herself has repeatedly told him he's not the father. Get ready, because the drama is just heating up.
Ms. Moore, you say there is only one reason the defendant, Mr. Butler, has doubts he fathered your 1-year-old daughter, and that's because of his manipulating wife. Mr. Butler, you argue you've been told on multiple occasions by the plaintiff Hurst that you are not her child's father.
Now, isn't this a spicy twist? The judge probes Mr. Butler about his doubts. Mr. Butler reveals that Ms. Moore told him directly that he wasn't the father during a confrontation with his wife, which adds tension in the courtroom. Strap in, folks. The roller coaster is just taking off.
She told me I'm not the baby daddy.
One time was because he was harassing me, him and his so-called quote-unquote wife.
So you admit, Ms. Moore, you told him you're not the child's father?
One time.
How did that conversation happen?
It's happened because she told me I'm not the dad. She told me I'm not the father.
Why would she tell you that?
The baby don't even look like me.
Did everyone catch that revelation? A key witness, Ms. Harrison, recalls an incident where she heard Ms. Moore denying Mr. Butler's paternity over a phone call, amplifying the doubt about the paternity and leading to further disputes between the involved parties. The plot thickens, so stay tuned for more twists.
One time.
That's a lie.
Harassment.
Really, harassment?
Harassment.
I never harassed
you and your so-called husband.
Whatever. At one particular time when she was on the phone, he had her on speaker, and she told him, "You're not the dad. You don't have to do nothing for this baby."
Harassment. You're right.
You heard it
You're
yourself.
right.
I heard it
firsthand.
myself.
You won't see this coming. Ms. Harrison challenges the conception dates provided by Ms. Moore, suggesting discrepancies in the timeline that could affect paternity. The discussion heats up as both parties dispute the dates and the possible fathers, highlighting the complexity of the situation. Things are about to go into overdrive.
Why we have the doubt, because that's why we're here. Say the conception dates don't add up.
Because if you told him in December that you were pregnant, your baby would have been born in September, because my daughter is September 22nd.
And so
She needs to learn her math. Go back to school.
And so
That's what
hold
you
on,
need to
Ms.
do.
Moore.
Go back
Ms.
to
Moore.
school.
Buckle up for this emotional ride. Ms. Moore describes a difficult birth process involving an emergency C-section, which Mr. Butler was not informed about nor present for, raising questions about his involvement and concern as a potential father. The upcoming segment is a doozy, so keep watching.
I actually went into labor. I started having labor pains on the 25th. My blood pressure went sky high. My doctor came in and told me that my baby heart rate was going down. So as it was going down, she was getting less oxygen. So they had to get her out. I did not see my baby. I went to an emergency C-section.
Just when you think it can't get more tangled, the court examines photographic evidence suggesting another man might be the child's father. The conversation revolves around who was present during the child's early life and the naming on the birth certificate, which does not list Mr. Butler. The drama continues, so don't go anywhere.
This is the
He
same
stepped up.
man that
Went to
she's
every
been-
doctor's appointment.
That looks just
No, you a liar on that
They
one.
look just
My
alike.
fiance is way finer than him.
The other reason is the baby doesn't carry his last name. She's never shown him the birth certificate.
that there may be another man listed on the birth certificate.
No.
Wait for it. Here it comes. The DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Butler, you are her father.
Do what you gotta do.
Miss Vaughn steps into the courtroom, aiming to prove to her husband, Mr. Williams, that he is indeed the father of their one-year-old son, Connor Williams. She believes their marriage was just a quick fix because of the unexpected pregnancy, and since she's filed for divorce, Mr. Williams has stepped back from his fatherly duties. On top of that, she's hitting him with a lawsuit for $1,275 for daycare costs. Strap in, because this ride is just getting started.
Ms. Vaughn, you are here to prove to your husband, Mr. Williams, that he is the father of your one-year-old child, Connor Williams. You say the only reason the two of you got married was because of the sin. Now that you filed for divorce, he refuses to be a father. Now, you're also suing the defendant for $1,275 for daycare expenses.
And here comes the curveball. Mr. Williams counters with doubts about his paternity, accusing Miss Vaughn of using him as a cash machine and hinting that she might have another man in the mix, whom he labels the real dad. This sets the stage for a fiery clash over who's really responsible for little Connor and the crumbled state of their marriage. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for what's next.
You also believe Ms. Vaughn has a secret sugar daddy and had that man throughout your entire relationship, and he's the real father. What has Mr. Williams done for Connor?
Brian hasn't did anything for him. The only thing he has done was buy 2 cases of diapers and furnish 2 outfits when he was a newborn. And he watched him while I was at work for a couple times, but it's not enough of a month full of
Your
fun
Honor,
days.
just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Mr. Williams spills the tea about campus rumors that have been fanning the flames of his doubt, suggesting that he might not be Connor's dad after all. This revelation adds another layer of drama and skepticism to the ongoing marital saga. And guess what? It's about to get even juicier.
You say you had people telling you she was promiscuous and she was having sex with other people and the child may not be yours?
Because I did disclaim that at one putting me in the doghouse, so it gave me a lot of free time to not be with her. And by the doghouse, I mean
Brian's
we were
lying,
not
Your
being
Honor.
intimate. We were not always together.
Brian's lying.
For days at a time.
Did you have doubt married her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, and it turns out family pressures were at an all-time high. The court learns about the heavy expectations from both families, especially from Miss Vaughn's mother, who insisted they tie the knot to avoid any scandal of having a child out of wedlock. This revelation peels back another layer of complexity in their relationship. But hang on, the next bit is a real eyebrow raiser.
I requested to meet her mother because I didn't believe that a parent would be in support
Well, you just found out Centauria was
this.
pregnant because your son
And
did
so
it.
his father and I requested to meet her. We actually went to her house. And after having the discussion with her and she shared with us, then the next step was for them to get married because her grandchild, she never said their child, her grandchild was not coming into this world a bastard. We realized that she was the one driving the bus on this relationship, been pregnant. Who got pregnant by Brian?
Talk about throwing a wrench in the works. Mr. Williams throws down the gauntlet with allegations of a sugar daddy in the mix, dubbed Papa Bear, who he claims has been pulling the strings behind the scenes. This bombshell hints at possible infidelity and throws an even bigger wrench into the already complicated paternity issue. You're not going to want to miss what comes out of the woodwork next.
Mr. Williams, you say she's got a sugar daddy. What is this all about in your mind?
It was a phone call that I received. I'm not sure how he even obtained my number, but he was telling me to babysit. Well, why would I be babysitting my child? So he told me to be there babysitting.
This man is telling you when to be there to take care of your child?
Yes.
Who is this person?
It's her Papa Bear. That's her nickname for him.
Things just got real with receipts. The court dives into some spicy social media exchanges between Miss Vaughn and Papa Bear, discussing DNA tests and daddy duties. These messages crank up the drama notch and solidify Mr. Williams' suspicions about the whole fatherhood fiasco. But hold on, the next part will knock your socks off.
Insinuating that he's not calling him daddy right now, because that's not.
So you're reading these Facebook messages and you've got your wife calling a man Papa Bear. They're going back and forth on Facebook. And he's saying by next month the baby will be calling me daddy, and you're reading messages about somebody needing to get a DNA test. And you're feeling like this is pointing to you and the fact that you may not be Connor's biological father.
Yes.
Here's where it gets downright scandalous. Miss Vaughn drops a bombshell by admitting to an ongoing intimate relationship with Papa Bear, despite still being married to Mr. Williams. This revelation seriously shakes up the court's perception of her credibility and the state of their union. The stakes are high, and the courtroom's about to heat up even more.
Have you been intimate with Papa Bear? Is it an intimate relationship or just best friends?
We are an intimate relationship.
Oh, you are in an intimate relationship.
But she's still married though.
Oh, where's that?
You get it from your mama.
No, you get your behavior from your mother because
but we've
you
never
all
been
don't
on
know
31st
anything.
Street.
Hold on.
Brian,
Miss Vaughn, I want to be clear. You're still married to Mr. Williams.
we're separated, yes.
You're separated
Legally.
from Mr. Williams, but you are intimate with Papa Bear guy.
And now, the money matter takes center stage. Miss Vaughn presents proof of her hefty childcare payments, which Mr. Williams apparently hasn't helped with, spotlighting the financial and personal strife accompanying their paternity and relationship turmoil. Just wait till you see how this financial feud plays out.
So these are the receipts for childcare.
Yes, for Connor Williams, his daddy's.
All right, so this is 3 months of childcare, pretty.
And I get no government assistance, so it's straight cash.
This is $2,550. You know a child has to have someone to care for. She's been paying out this money so she can go to work. Have you helped her with this $2,550? Or have you at least said, while you're working, I will watch him so we don't have to incur this expense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ready for the grand finale. The DNA test results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. William, you are the father.
Hey, the lady.
Can you believe what just happened? Mr. Matthews just admitted that one of his biggest mistakes was not being a good dad to his daughter, Kiana. Now she's wondering if he's really her biological father. He's here in court today to prove he is. But then Ms. Shaw says her daughter used to think Mr. Matthews was her dad, but now believes another man is her real father. Just when you think it couldn't get more confusing. Hold on for what's next.
Mr. Matthews, you say you've made many mistakes in your life, but the worst is not being a good dad to the defendant's daughter. You claim that has caused her to deny you are her daughter's father. You are here to prove the truth. She biologically is yours. Ms. Shaw, you admit your daughter believed that Mr. Matthews was her dad, but now stand in court, prove that another man is her biological father.
Did you catch that twist? Mr. Matthews talks about his past mistakes and how they messed up his relationship with Kiana and her mom. He tried to reconnect with Kiana on Facebook, but she was still angry because of his past. Admitting his regrets, Mr. Matthews talks about the deep scars left on his family. Get ready, because this emotional roller coaster isn't over yet.
Mr. Matthews, you say you've made mistakes. Tell me about that.
When I was younger, I had a lot of mistakes in my life, so I can understand that Miss would want to act the way she does. When I tried to reach out to her on Facebook, she was kind of angry at me because of my episodes in my life.
So you're saying you were not a good father?
Not at all.
And so your belief is that this whole issue is surrounding your failure to be a good father?
That's true.
Who saw that coming? In a past court session, Mr. Matthews denied having a relationship with Ms. Shaw during a DNA test, but now admits he lied. This opens up a messy past full of cheating and lies. And guess what? The surprises keep coming.
No wonder you said you never had sex with this woman. And you had a husband?
Yes.
All right, so you two were basically cheating on your spouses with one another?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you get to the magistrate, says, I've never had sex with that woman, and how does the magistrate rule?
The magistrate looked and asked me, did I want to go forward? And I told him no.
That wasn't what happened.
Oh, you were so angry at that point that he lied.
I was done. I never approached after that point. His wife already knew at that point about Kiana.
How's that for a twist? Kiana shares how she felt like an outsider at Mr. Matthews' house. She points out how he loved his other kids, but ignored her, showing how much it hurt her. The family drama gets even more intense in the next testimony.
And the way I looked at it is we both was having fun. We both was young. You know, and when she told me she was pregnant, I was too busy trying to enjoy myself because I wasn't trying to be with no one woman. I already had a wife.
So the point is, when you stood in the courtroom with your wife and you said you never slept with Miss Shaw, was that because you were scared to lose your wife, or is that because you did not want to be bothered with a child?
A little bit of both.
But Miss Shaw, you said that Kiana had already been going over to their house.
Yes.
Ready for this? Mr. Matthews talks about being in and out of Kiana's life and admits he wasn't a good father. He wants to fix his mistakes now, admitting how much his neglect hurt Kiana. Hang on, because the story gets even more dramatic soon.
You decided, I'm not even going to be bothered with trying to prove that he is my daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But did you know for certain that he was? You had a paternity doubt, but you just weren't going to be bothered with him because he lied.
He was not the only man that I had slept with.
Were you honest about that, Miss Thompson, your daughter?
Yes, she's known all her life.
Think it can't get more tangled? Think again. A heated argument reveals both Mr. Matthews and Ms. Shaw were cheating on each other when Kiana was conceived. This shows their chaotic relationship and the deep trust issues. Get ready, because the revelations get even crazier.
And here it is. Wait a minute. Okay, but you had threw him out.
Yeah.
But then when I came over there, you had me rubbing your stomach and all that good stuff.
I had my
and here,
Stop
yes,
that.
you did. Yes, you did.
Stop that
And here it is. Talking about bring me a fish sandwich over to the house. And
Let
I'm
me tell
bringing
you
you
something, that fish sandwich is when you're pregnant.
Yes.
I used to crave those too. That was funny you said that. I said, now that testimony is true.
Yeah, and every night when
also
he would
she
get
had
off,
me feed him
he
to
would
it,
come
too.
and feed me.
All right then.
You'll need a minute for this. Mr. Matthews talks about his reluctance to accept he might be Kiana's dad, influenced by his family and his own doubts. This part shows the intense family pressures he faced. As we get closer to the truth, the tension is high.
Seeing the baby because Miss Shaw was living at the time. You know, rumors fly around. First, my grandmother told my mother, then my mother told me, and I was like, nah, you know, I'm not gonna sit back there and say yes.
What did they say?
She said, well, the baby look like you. I said, no, it don't. I'm not gonna sit back because I didn't want my wife to know. Well, my mother told my wife. And when you're in them kind of circumstances, you don't want to sit back and admit that, you know, this baby may be yours.
Ever wonder what a hospital soap opera looks like? The courtroom hears about the chaotic scene at Kiana's birth with multiple potential fathers. This adds even more complexity, showing the wild relationships and tangled stories around Kiana's arrival. The stakes are high as we move to the next big reveal.
So if anytime he come over, yes, he can come and stay.
Every time I came over there, you made me feel like I was comfortable at your house. Yeah, you
Because
rubbing me down.
If I tell you to
cooking
come,
dinner.
I'm cooking dinner. I'm welcoming you because that's my house.
How can a woman sit back there and say that you was married, but you would sit back there act like you was married
Lord, no,
to me?
he didn't.
Oh, well, yes, I did.
Was I the only one married?
Can Kiana find the dad she's been longing for? The court looks into whether Mr. Matthews is really her father, amidst all the complicated personal histories. Kiana talks about her feelings towards Mr. Matthews, showing how his on and off presence affected her. The moment of truth is coming, and it's a big one.
He's the father of my youngest son. And a lot of her, like the way she favors his mom, and whatever she needed, he was always there.
Did she ever tell you that she believed Mr. Brooks was really your biological father?
He also writes me on Facebook and he'll talk to me and stuff, but I just don't see it.
Interesting is Mr. Matthews is here to prove that he is your biological father.
Ready for the big reveal? The paternity test results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Matthews, you are not the father. I'm so sorry, Kiana.
Ms. Richardson claims Mr. Smith began denying their daughter after she was conceived. She asserts that their relationship was serious and that Mr. Smith had been eager to have a child with her due to his uncertain health. You'll never guess what's up next, so don't blink.
Ms. Richardson, you say you were in an exclusive relationship with Mr. Smith and even tried to have a baby together. But after you conceived your daughter, Kalani, Mr. Smith started denying your baby. You intend to prove he is the father today.
This just keeps getting juicier. Ms. Richardson emotionally recounts how Mr. Smith, fearing a short life, expressed a strong desire to have a child with her. She agreed to this despite her reservations, influenced by her feelings of love and commitment at the time. Strap in, because the next part of the story is a roller coaster.
Around the time we were together for about 8 months, he had told me he was in a situation where he didn't know if he were going to live a long time. Me being young and dumb and I was actually in love with him, I agreed on it.
Talk about a plot twist. Ms. Richardson details their attempt to conceive around Halloween, followed by immediate news of her pregnancy to Mr. Smith. She describes their joint visits to doctor appointments, highlighting their initial commitment to raising the child together. Things are about to get even more intriguing, so keep watching.
Around October 31st, we were together. I had left Job Corps, but he was still in. I left on the 28th. On the 31st, I had sent for him to come in for the weekend, so we can go home on weekend. That day we did have sex, and that's whenever my daughter was conceived. I called him immediately.
What a tangled web we weave. Judge Lake cautions Ms. Richardson about the realities of relationships, emphasizing the difference between comfort, convenience, and true commitment. The judge stresses that Mr. Smith's intermittent returns do not equate to a genuine, long-term relationship. Just when you think you've seen it all, there's more.
Now, this is just woman to woman. You've got to be able to decide and be able to know the difference between being his comfort and his convenience and being the commitment. What I'm hearing now is, yeah, he might come back and forth. That's because you left. Yes, he wants to be with you in the bed. You understand? That does not mean he's going to stick around for a relationship or for the child.
Here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Smith admits his initial excitement about the pregnancy, but also confesses to his doubts, suggesting possible infidelity on Ms. Richardson's part. This marks a pivotal moment in the episode, revealing the complexities of their relationship. But wait, there's more drama around the corner.
I thought she probably found somebody else outside of Job Corps. Probably
I called him every day. He called me every day. I worked from 2 in the p.m. to 11 at night, so there was no time I could cheat at all. I called him each.
Mr. Smith disagrees. He's shaking his head when you testify.
We were with each other almost every weekend. Every time I went home, he went.
What part of that story do you disagree with, Mr. Smith?
The date. I don't remember coming home that day.
The plot thickens. Brianna Smith, Mr. Smith's twin sister, testifies about the escalating tensions during the pregnancy. She recalls both the initial excitement and the growing doubts due to aggressive interactions and suspicious messages. Buckle up, because the next testimony is a doozy.
I feel like she should look like me to a certain extent. And, she has the big eye. I'll give her that.
Just like her mother.
But as far as the lips and the things of that nature, I just don't see. At first, I did think that Kalani was Bobby's, but after seeing all messages and seeing how she acts and all the things that she say, it is hard to believe. And then with the video, I never seen the dude.
Can you handle what's coming next? A video submitted as evidence becomes a topic of intense scrutiny in court. The video apparently shows the child with another man, leading to heated discussions about the nature of the relationship between Ms. Richardson and the other man featured in the video. Stay tuned. The next twist is a jaw-dropper.
This is a still of the video you submitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that is her godfather.
And
if he chooses to kiss her on the forehead,
if you can see the video, ma'am, your opinion of a godfather, that's not it. You know what I mean? I've never seen somebody.
Well, look, I get it. And Miss Richardson, this is what's difficult, because as a woman, I do understand, and I have to say this a lot in this courtroom because it is true and it never changes and it will never change. Once you ring that bell and say this isn't your baby, you ain't never getting that bell back.
Get ready for some real talk. Judge Lake delivers a powerful message about the responsibilities and emotional maturity required to raise a child. She stresses the importance of recognizing and managing the intense emotions involved in their relationships. The aftermath of this revelation is something you'll want to see.
Do you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
And the last I heard, the parents choose the God together. And that's another fact we don't have on track, because you're kids. You're not ready for all of it. You're not ready for it emotionally. You're not ready for it at all.
Hold on to your seats. The climactic moment arrives as the DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Smith.
The revelation here is startling, almost like something out of a daytime drama. Ms. Smith discusses her initial lack of knowledge about Malachi potentially being her nephew. She describes her reaction upon learning about Malachi from Ms. Laster, expressing that she would accept and love Malachi if he was indeed her brother's child, highlighting her nurturing nature and readiness to include him in the family. Keep watching. The surprises are just starting, and you might want to grab some popcorn for this one.
So when did Ms. Laster make you aware, and how did she go about telling you? just saying that, you know, this could be your nephew? It really could?
Yes.
And then when you asked her, why would you tell me what's going on?
She just said she had a lot going on and she didn't want to really get into it.
And so at that point, did you just accept?
I accept him because, I mean, if this could be my brother's baby, I don't want to push him away. I mean, if this is my brother's child, I want to get to know him. I want to take him in. I want to love on him.
This is a truly unexpected turn, like a plot twist in a mystery novel. Grandma Smith reveals her first encounter with Malachi was only the day before, shocking the courtroom with the fact that she hadn't seen him for 4 years, despite his alleged connection to her family. This moment underscores the emotional and familial disconnect within the story being unraveled in the court. The next moment adds even more depth to the emotional landscape, so stay tuned.
Yesterday was the first time I even touched that child.
So yesterday was the first time you ever seen him in person?
Not until yesterday.
In 4 years?
4 years. I never knew nothing about it.
Oh, that's precious. So, Miss Laster, I don't get it.
Can you feel the tension rising? It's thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Ms. Laster emotionally recounts her relationship with the deceased, describing how losing him deeply affected her and led to her avoidance in confronting the paternity issue. She admits to withholding information due to the emotional trauma, which provides insight into her personal struggles and the complex human emotions involved in the case. Brace yourself. The complexity deepens in the upcoming segment, and it's juicier than a ripe peach.
Like I said, it was just something really emotional for me, and I just didn't want to face it, so I just, you know, left it undone.
What was so emotional?
Losing him broke me really, really bad. That was the first time I ever been with somebody that actually cared about me. That was the first thing. I met them, and they loved me. I've lived with Miss Dolores, too, but that was the first time that I actually, you know, met a man that cared for me and had my best interest at heart. It was too much for me.
This piece of testimony is a game changer, shaking things up like a martini at a James Bond film. The judge introduces another twist by revealing Ms. Laster was also involved with another man around the time she was with the deceased. This raises questions about the paternity of Malachi, complicating the case further. The connection between Malachi's stutter and his potential father's childhood speech impediment is highlighted, bringing a genetic aspect into the paternity discussion. Don't go anywhere. The revelations are far from over, and they're more tangled than your grandma's knitting.
I called Tess and I was like, hey, is this normal? Have Travis had these issues in the past? And she was like, yeah, he used to stutter when he was a kid. Well, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, most definitely, okay, that he's most definitely his. But at the time that I was dating somebody, well, we didn't date.
Okay.
But at the time, I was just dealing with that person. I dealt with him in February. In the beginning of the month of January, I started seeing Travis and sleeping with him. And I had Malachi in October.
This analysis will have you on the edge of your seat, and it's not because it's a scary movie. The court examines the timeline of Ms. Laster's relationships and sexual encounters to determine the window of conception. This forensic approach underscores the meticulous nature of paternity cases in determining biological relationships and the potential for error in personal recollection and timelines. Up next, an expert weighs in with scientific clarity, and let's just say, you'll want to see this.
You were having sex with Travis. That's why you came up with that assumption.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to know you do realize that the window of conception that's outlined here on the calendar, 2 weeks from the time when you had sex with the other man.
Yes.
That's a little too close for comfort in this courtroom. So why do you just eliminate him? Because that's just 2 weeks.
This explanation clears up a lot of confusion, like a window cleaner on a smudgy pane. A conversation with Dr. Baird, a DNA scientist, clarifies the typical results presentation in paternity tests, addressing confusion over DNA test results mentioned by Ms. Laster. This educational moment highlights the importance of accuracy and standard procedures in scientific testing, which are critical in judicial contexts. The courtroom is about to hear the impactful results, so keep your eyes peeled. It's about to get real.
In a hearing right now, Dr. Baird, where our defendant is saying that she received paperwork that indicated that during a DNA testing process, it was determined it was 99.9% probability that a man was not the father of a child. Are results ever achieved that way?
The typical way to express an exclusion of paternity is to say that the alleged father has a probability of paternity of 0%.
The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, thick enough to cut with a knife. The DNA test results for Jacory are revealed.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Dolores and Malachi Laster is 0.00%. You are not related.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Gray opens his case by suing his wife for a paternity test, doubting his daughter's paternity due to startling revelations about his wife's past. He articulates his concerns, clearly influenced by both his own doubts and his parents' mistrust towards his wife, Mrs. Gray. And just when you think you've seen it all, wait until the next twist.
Mr. Gray, you are suing your wife and the mother of your daughter for a paternity test. You and your parents claim Mrs. Gray lied to you about her sexual past, and since discovering the truth about her, you now all fear the baby is not your biological daughter.
Things heat up as Mrs. Gray fires back with her own version. Mrs. Gray responds to her husband's accusations by arguing that his lack of trust and his parents' meddling are tearing their marriage apart. She throws in some accusations about past financial neglect by Mr. Gray, highlighting both emotional and practical strains in their relationship. Buckle up, because the family fireworks are just getting started.
You argue that your husband is destroying your marriage because he no longer trusts you. You claim that your in-laws' influence is causing your husband to deny child. You also say your husband has not stepped up financially in the past.
Wait till you hear this jaw-dropper from the mother-in-law. A shocking revelation comes from Mrs. Gray's mother-in-law, who vividly recounts the couple's early sexual encounters when they first met, emphasizing their young ages and the immediate consequences, which included an unplanned pregnancy confirmed by a home test. If you thought that was a doozy, the next revelation is even more eye-popping.
That the first time that she come to our home, that particular day, she and Tanner went to the bedroom and had unprotected sex.
Okay. How old were they when...
She was 14 and he was 15 years old. Okay,
let me get my mouth off the ground.
Okay.
They went to his bedroom and had sex.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gray spills the beans on their unusual second date. Mr. Gray details the beginning of his relationship with Mrs. Gray, noting that their second date stretched over several days at his mother's house. This unconventional dating scenario set the stage for their swift and complicated relationship. Just wait until you hear what comes next. It's a real head-turner.
He'd always been involved in sports, basketball, popular child. He always made very good decisions. He had a relationship before, furnished him with a condom in case he ever wanted to have sex.
So you had a discussion with him about responsibility?
Absolutely. He had a complete goal. He was going to be a police officer, and everything changed.
Here comes a curveball about the baby's paternity. Doubts about the paternity of the child intensify as Mr. Gray discusses the conflicting stories about the child's paternity, including erroneous beliefs promoted by Mrs. Gray's family regarding the baby's potential racial characteristics, which baffled Mr. Gray due to his youth and inexperience.
15 and 14 years old? 2-day dates? Never heard of such. Okay.
Yes, and they were supposed to be sleeping by the Christmas tree. Well, that didn't go over so well.
Okay.
So, considering the fact of her family's background and considering the fact of what Tanner's told me about her previous boyfriends, I'm not sure that the baby could be his. I felt like, he was the pick of the litter.
The courtroom is about to get a major shakeup with Mr. Gray's next revelation. The situation escalates when Mr. Gray reveals he found incriminating emails suggesting that Mrs. Gray had multiple sexual partners shortly before their relationship began. This discovery led to a demand for a DNA test, fiercely opposed by Mrs. Gray's family, ramping up the tension and suspicions. The court's reaction to this bombshell will definitely raise some eyebrows.
When she was 14 years old and I was 15, we decided to have sex, and I figured if she was gonna have sex with me on her second date at my house at such a young age, why wouldn't she have sex with somebody else?
How about when her family tried to explain to you that if the baby comes out black, that it's still yours? Okay?
That's an interesting fact even for the court.
It took me and my oldest daughter 2 days to convince him that that was not the truth.
Mrs. Gray's confession turns the hearing on its head. A major confrontation occurs as Mrs. Gray admits to having slept with multiple partners before Mr. Gray, confirming his worst fears and the reasons behind his paternity doubts. This admission significantly shifts the dynamics of their relationship and trust. Fasten your seatbelts, because Mr. Boyd's comments next are a game changer.
Your Honor, during the moment, it was a mutual agreement, yes, but about, I had gotten and broken into her email accounts, and 2 to 4 weeks prior to our date, actually, she had sexual conversations with numerous guys, and I had proof of that. I had sat her down and I told her all about that. First, she denied it. I got into the email again to show her what I had found. The information was not there.
Mr. Boyd steps up with some eyebrow-raising opinions. The court hears from Mr. Boyd, Mrs. Gray's stepfather, who lambasts the young couple's decision-making and Mrs. Gray's influence, painting a grim picture of the challenges they face due to their youth and Mrs. Gray's controversial past. The emotional testimony from Ms. Wohlhart up next adds a whole new layer of drama to the family saga.
That it would make him a bad person if he did not trust her enough enough to have that DNA test. So he did not have that DNA test against my wishes.
I mean, there's no question denying these pictures. They look just alike. They both have big ears. I mean, I don't have big ears at all.
I would like to say that picture of Tanner right there looks identical to my 4-year-old who has a different father.
Ms. Wohlhart brings an emotional perspective that pulls at the heartstrings. Ms. Wohlhart, Mrs. Gray's grandmother, joins via Skype to discuss her substantial support for the child during periods of instability between the couple. Her testimony underscores the broader family dynamics and the financial and emotional burdens placed on extended family members. The verdict is up next, and it's going to tug at your heartstrings.
Told her father at the hospital that you were going to let her live in your house.
He had to live somewhere.
Now, it seems like you are upset with Mr. Gray's mother. What is it specifically that you feel like she's done or has not done?
Another thing, being teenagers, they would have never left the living room, for one, if I was at home.
The climax of the case arrives with the DNA test results.
Gray versus Gray. When it comes to Keely, Mr. Gray, you are her father.
Strap in for this one. Mr. Carr throws down the gauntlet, accusing Ms. Villa of serial cheating and artful dodging over a DNA test for their daughter Trinity for the last 3 years. His doubt about being the father is palpable, thanks to her Houdini-like antics to avoid confrontation. Brace yourselves, because the twists just keep coming.
Mr. Carr, you state that Miss Villa is a notorious cheater who tried to pin her daughter Trinity on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim there is no way you are the father and had to open today's case because she's been running from you and a DNA test for 3 years.
You won't see this twist coming. Ms. Villa steps into the confession booth, admitting to her roller coaster of mistakes, but stands firm that Mr. Carr is Trinity's dad. She's pinning her hopes on the DNA results to mend fences and solidify her claims. Keep watching. The emotional thermometer is about to burst.
Ms. Villa, you admit to making mistakes in your relationship with the defendant, but you and your best friend want to prove he fathered your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Carr, you say you had to open up today's case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here comes a bombshell. Mr. Carr labels Ms. Villa as the infamous heartbreaker, accusing her of a trilogy of treachery, lying, cheating, and general no-goodness. Despite the chaos, he admits to sticking around, hoping to flip the script on his own past. But wait, there's more chaos to unpack.
Her nickname is Heartbreaker.
What does that
From the
have to
beginning
do with
of the
Trinity?
relationships that we had together, she was a liar, a cheater, and no good for nothing, just to be honest.
But you still stayed with me.
That's what I was just about to say.
She
You
stayed
to have
with
sex
me.
with me and everything else, and you allowed me back.
The reason I kept taking her back because I wanted to prove, like, we both have a history. Before I became a loyal man, I was just like her, jumping from person to person to person.
Can you believe this curveball? Their saga started from a casual Facebook message and escalated to an unintended family plan. Mr. Carr unpacks the messy beginnings, revealing the gravity of their entanglement. And guess what? The roller coaster is just picking up speed.
And it turned into a relationship from just meeting on Facebook.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so you all decided, what is this, love at first sight for you all? Like, what you were just
No, Your Honor.
we want to do this?
Problem was I couldn't get rid of her, Your Honor.
You said you wanted
If you
to save her.
wanted me gone, you would have spoke up and told me to get out.
And I did.
No, you didn't.
Testified to, you said you met a girl that you liked and you really wanted to try to build a relationship with her.
Grab some popcorn for this drama unfold. Mr. Carr dives into the gritty details of discovering Ms. Villa's multiple infidelities, which fuels his skepticism about fathering Trinity. Ms. Villa counters, suggesting some dalliances happened during their off periods. Buckle up. The next revelation is a doozy.
She cheated on you 8 different times with 8 different people?
No, that's not how it went. There was times I did cheat on him, and there was times we were broken up and I'm
You're
messed around.
sitting
Just
here
like
admitting that you're cheating now.
Girl,
That
in a
being
place we
said,
shared together. So you need to get your story straight and tell your
my
part.
hope, you're admitting that you're cheating. Why not admit the full truth? Because
I
full
admitted
truth
I
is the only
cheated,
thing that's going to
but
set you free.
Find it out, Mr. Carr.
Ever heard of car troubles? Well, here's a new twist. Ms. Villa and Mr. Carr recount a steamy car rendezvous that might just explain Trinity's conception. This pivotal moment is tied directly to the whens and hows of baby making. You won't want to miss what's coming up.
If we just slept together on the 14th, then how did you know that you're pregnant? How in the world do you know that you're pregnant?
You told me I was
So
pregnant.
you
You're a
have
liar.
sex 3 days later and she tells you, now I'm pregnant.
No.
So you thinking like, how do you know you pregnant 3 days after we just have sex?
Exactly, Your Honor.
Tell us some more lies, Tony. Keep going.
I don't have to
I
lie.
conceived
It's the
her
truth.
February 14th when we had sex in his car.
Tissue alert. Mr. Carr shares his emotional turmoil over loving and raising Trinity amid doubts of her paternity. His bond with the child is undeniable, yet the uncertainty gnaws at him daily. The emotional stakes are high, and it's about to get even more heartfelt.
And it's hurtful because I have to
Mr.
live with
Carr,
this pain every single day.
Tony, you chose
trying
to do that.
Think.
You were there on and off, on and off.
Anyways.
Do you have a relationship with her?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm with her every day of the week, just about. Just about every day of the week. I play my role as a father. No matter what it is, no matter how much pain or how much that eats me up inside, I still treat her like she's my own child.
Who ordered a side of evasion with their court drama? Mr. Carr lays out Ms. Villa's geographical escapades, suggesting a masterclass in avoidance over the DNA test. This chase scene of moves and counter-moves paints a vivid picture of their tumultuous journey, and there's still more to uncover.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please step up to the monitor and let's review this exhibit? So you say she's been running away from a DNA test.
I was in Alabama. She was in Tampa, Florida. I tried to hook the cases together as soon as she received the letter from Tampa, Florida to Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
You were told I was moving.
From Muscle Shoals, she moves to Decatur, Alabama.
Didn't see that coming, did you? In a jaw-dropping twist, Ms. Villa's best friend, Ms. McDonald, drops a truth bomb about another potential father during the conception window. This confession sends shockwaves through the court. Stay tuned, the plot thickens dramatically.
Did she ever say that she was with another man during the window of conception? She did
A one-night
say that.
stand, yes.
So she did tell you that during the window of time when Trinity was conceived, she did have a one-night stand with someone else. That's not what you testified to here.
Me getting pregnant and stuff, I messed around with the guy a couple of weeks before him. It was more of a revenge thing because of the stuff he was doing to me.
Was that sex protected sex or unprotected sex?
Unprotected.
Here's the big reveal. Everyone hold your breath.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Carr, you are the father. That's your beautiful little girl.